Welcome, everyone, to the Viva Connections SharePoint Framework Biweekly Sync. It's January 25th. I'm Hugo Bernier, your host for today. We have a packed agenda, as always. We're going to cover the latest update from the SharePoint Framework. We'll update you on all our community projects. And then we'll have picture time with Together Mode. Then we have the best part of the day, which is the demos. Markus will be talking about SPFx extensions for search-driven navigation and security controls. Chris Kent will be extending your team's manifest for Copilot, SPFx, Power Apps, and more. And then Paolo is going to introduce the different card design options for your Viva Connections dashboard. So let's get started. And
oh God, why? Why would you do this?
Thank you, Chris, for the special effects.
Maybe don't leave the PowerPoint available to me. I'm just.
All right, we have tons of resources available for you in the Microsoft 365 and Power Platform community. We have community videos on YouTube. We have LinkedIn group for discussions. We have open source repositories for samples and various initiatives. And you can get all the links that are listed here in one place by going to aka.ms/community/home. We have multiple calls a week. And so the Microsoft 365 and Power Platform community calls happen weekly for Microsoft speakers. We have the Power Platform monthly calls. And then we have our Office add-ins monthly calls. And then every other week, we'll switch between the Microsoft 365 and Power Platform community and the Viva Connections and SharePoint Framework biweekly call. So make sure to attend. You can download all the recurrent invites at aka.ms/community/calls. Speaking of Microsoft 365 and Power Platform weekly calls, the call coming on January 23rd is going to be the latest news for Microsoft engineering. And that's coming from Microsoft presenters. We'll always have our community together mode. And then Waldeck is going to demo how to ingest local markdown content for Copilot using .NET and C#. And Mark Windle is going to talk about introducing SharePoint Embedded. So we look forward to see you there. To get the call, you can go to aka.ms/community/ms-speakers-call-invite. Just rolls off the tongue. And if you'd like to present on any of these community calls, we welcome you to present. We want to see what you've done in the community. We want you to share the cool stuff you're working on. Everyone is welcome. You can go to aka.ms/community/request/demo to fill a form, and then we'll schedule you on whichever call is most appropriate for you. Now, if you'd like to get started on working in the community and contributing, we have some guidance for you. And I think my friend David would like to talk about this. David?
Yes, I would. I was hoping you were going to say, if you'd like to get started on getting started. That would have been funny.
That would be redundant.
Yes, from the Department of Redundancy Department. Yes, friends, thank you. So, yes, we finally have the office hours getting spun up here. Hugo and Emily are leaning in, and we've got some news about all that coming up in the next few days. So thank you for your patience. Those are going to be fantastic because these office hours are going to provide a safe space opportunity for anyone and everyone to come in and ask questions on how they can begin contributing on a variety of spectrum of topics. So maybe I'm just starting to get started with, there I go, get started with GitHub. Maybe I am ready to submit a pull request and I just need a second set of eyes and some questions answered. So we are here for you. We are getting those recordings set up as well so that they can be on demand and looking to scale this. So definitely keep an eye out at aka.ms/sharing is caring. And the link is in the chat. Now, once you have contributed, we are alive and well on our recognition program. This is powered by Credly, so you get those accredited official badges that you can associate to your LinkedIn profile and your Twitter profile. Put them on your resume, your blog, all the above. And if you click the next arrow, then we'll see the spinning 2024. There we go. Just like clockwork for us, right? Ready to go. AI powered by Hugo. So just definitely get opted in, aka.ms/community/recognition, and we will begin watching all of the amazing stuff you're doing and get those badges awarded out. And we got a lot of more fun ones coming in for 2024. So Hugo, back to you.
All right, let's talk about our latest updates from SharePoint Framework. And to talk about that, we have Vesa. Vesa?
Yes, hopefully you can hear me. Just double checking. Yes, excellent. So quick update on the usage. Usage is back in the normal after the holiday break. So we're getting a lot of growth again. This is quite typical. The holiday is always out. There's no explicit numbers within this chart, but it gives you some credibility on is this a platform we're reliable to bet on? And answer is absolutely. We're talking about not hundreds of millions, but tens of millions monthly active users for custom components built with SPFx and M365. So a lot of stuff there getting built and new stuff we're seeing all the time. Let's go to the following slide. This is just a recap on what we told actually in December, what we're working on this semester. There will be some changes within this. Well, the next year, is it this semester or next semester when we're getting some of the stuff done? We'll get all of that clarified. We do not have an ETA for next SPFx version right now. The bot part, Viva Connection adaptive card extensions, is coming out hopefully next week. There was a small delay on that one. We'll get it hopefully out next week. Other details are getting more clarified within upcoming weeks. Let's go to the following slide. Something what we are also rolling out as a updates, kind of a related technology, but highly connected to the SPFx. So the Viva Connection desktop experience is now rolling out worldwide with a much more fine-tuned branding capabilities and adjustments and all of that. So that is free. Just to be super clear, anybody who uses Teams or SharePoint as part of your E3, you will have access on Viva Connection, and you can build these mobile-first experiences and the desktop experiences with Viva Connection. Rolling out right now worldwide. We'll have more details on this one next week as well. But that's a quick update from engineering side. Let's move to the open source project.
Wonderful. Thank you, Vesa. And I couldn't help but notice in the usage stats that every time it drops, it also happens to be when I go on vacation. Coincidence? I'm not sure.
Maybe not. Maybe not.
All right, and let's talk about talking about being on vacation all the time. To talk about PMPJS, we have our friend Bo.
Thank you, Hugo. So we released version 3.22 on the 17th. We were a bit delayed. Apologies there, but it did include some fixes from absolute path for files where it was resolving to the wrong URL, so that's fixed. And then there was an update to the request digest as well, where we were overwriting some headers, so we fixed that. If you did install 3.22 and you're using blobs, I would probably back that out. We currently have an issue with blobs in version 3.22. We're trying to push out a hotfix soon here in the next couple of days, though. Version 4 is underway. We also have version 4 nightly builds that exist. They aren't coming soon. They do exist. If you want to see what else we are trying to do in V4, check out the issue number 2678. Yeah, back to you, Hugo.
Thank you. And to talk about the CLI for Microsoft 365, we have Gary.
Thanks, Hugo. Yep, so CLI for Microsoft 365, v7.4 beta is out. So we've got updates across Microsoft Entra. So the big update here is we're renaming the AAD commands to now use Entra for the grouping. So that's a change that it's not a breaking change. You can still use the old approaches, but it's just we're starting to move in the direction of the new naming. We've got a new command for updating external connections. We've got lots of other commands in there as well. So if you're working with graph connectors, we've got lots of commands in there now that makes that much easier to set up and configure as well as updates for Power Apps commands as well, so that you can admin your apps using our commands. And if you're behind a corporate proxy as well, we've now added support to the CLI for Microsoft 365. So we know that's going to unblock quite a lot of folks. It's been a long running thing that we've wanted to get in, and finally we have, so that's great news. We have some office hours as well. So we have a monthly office hours call on Discord. That's happening this coming Monday. So if you're interested in CLI, just want to hang out, have a chat, then definitely join the Discord server, pop in, say hello. But if you want to test out the beta, you can get that from npm, from at pmp /CLI-M3 Microsoft 365 at next, and check out the release notes as well for all the updates that are on there. Okay, moving on to dev proxy. So we have a new release, 0.14.1. This is a really big update with lots of new features. Important ones, being able to simulate your own API really quickly. So if you want to just spin up an API to build a web app against, you can use the proxy for that. You can generate open API documents as well, straight from the requests from your application as well. So the doc is directly related to the requests that go and responses that go over the wire. Lots of just improvements across the board as well, like being able to download presets for configuration, JSON schemas, simplifying the install, and we've had a ton of updates as well across our documentation. So if that's interesting you, definitely check that out. Go to aka.ms/devproxy/download. You'll get all the information to get started and the latest download of the dev proxy. Hugo, back to you.
And now let's talk about the reusable SPFx controls.
Thank you, Hugo. Recently we released a patch version for React controls with some additional bug fixes. So currently we are on 3.16.2. For property controls, nothing new. We are still on 3.15.0, but there is still a lot of stuff in there that you can use in your SPFx solutions and web parts and ACES. For more information, as usual, just visit the links provided on the slide for React controls and property controls. And please submit your issues, create pull requests, submit some ideas if you have one for these libraries to go further and help you in your SPFx development. Thank you. Back to you, Hugo.
Wonderful. Thank you. Now let's get started, or not started. Let's get talking about Viva Connections Toolkit for Visual Studio Code, and I believe Vesa will speak to that.
Unless Adam is on a call, I guess Adam is not in a call. Adam is on a call. There we go. Adam.
Oh, yeah, I am. Yeah. Okay. So Viva Connections Toolkit is a Visual Studio Code extension that will boost your productivity in SPFx development. So if you are doing any kind of SPFx projects, extension, ACES, web part, whatever, please be sure to check out and give this extension a try. It will boost your productivity significantly, and it works together with Teams. And we are currently working towards our V3 release. Last time we delivered with a pre-release V2.4.2, total refactor of the sample gallery with additional filters. And now we are currently working on adding more capabilities to the CI/CD workflow action. And we are totally rebuilding this experience and also giving the support for Azure DevOps. So we are open for contributions if you want to help out. And be sure to give this extension a try, provide feedback, and happy coding, everybody. Thanks. Back to you, Hugo.
Thank you. Adam is so dedicated that even when he says he's not going to be able to make the call, he still shows up. That's how dedicated he is. And speaking of dedication, let's pass it to Casper to talk about PnP Modern Search.
Thank you. We haven't released anything in the last 14 days, but we have, basically we have anyway, because we have added a new repository to the PnP Modern Search, and it is used for storing any custom layout that you have created, and also if you have to create your own layouts, it's a great place to find inspiration for how you can create these layouts, be it for refiners or for result web parts. So have a look at that, and please do contribute if you have some layouts that will display some key features of functionality within PnP Modern Search. Back to you, Hugo.
Thank you, Casper. All right, folks, we have SPFx samples. We have repositories where we have web parts and extensions, and you can download these samples to see how various things are done, right? If you're getting started, that's definitely the best place for you to look at some good examples. The latest updates from the last 2 weeks is Nick Brown has updated the pages hierarchy. If you don't know what the pages hierarchy is, it's a cool web part that allows you to actually create a faux structure in your pages so you can create kind of a hierarchy. Now, what we've also done in the repositories is we've updated the contribution guides and the pull request templates. We're working towards automating a lot of the pull request process so we can pre-validate and pre-verify the pull requests before we even get there. The other thing that we've done is we've added consistently an NPM-RC so that we can actually tell what version was used to build a sample. If you're using
cliffhanger.
We lost Hugo.
But it happened right when Together mode got turned on. Hugo, are you still there?
Hugo?
He's not muted.
He's available, but not in a call.
This is what we call a dramatic pause, everyone.
Yes.
Wait to hear what he has to say.
That's true.
Ice bear.
And he's gone.
Well, Together mode is working. I guess we can take a screenshot now. So as we're waiting for Hugo to come back, it was pretty close that time anyway. So we'll see as Hugo is coming back as well. I will share my screen so we get this one. Actually, everybody can see what we're capturing. We have 50 seats in the room, and we're not super pixelated. I can see Dawn there. Cool. Hopefully, some of you will be probably in Orlando. Sorry, what is it? Miami collab days is coming pretty soon. That would be probably good. And there's Hugo is back. Okay, so that's good. But anyway, I will put the recording on. We have a few more free seats. I'm just checking. Yes, Bill, you're pointing Paolo. That's really good. I will put the recording on. 3, 2, 1. Let's do some hand waving, everybody. Thank you for joining. We'll grab a GIF animation out of this and put it in LinkedIn and in Twitter. So thank you once again on joining on the community call. Awesome to have you here. Always good to have those smiling faces. And Hugo, I guess you're back, so you can introduce the demo persons.
I think we still have one more slide though for aces though. I think.
That's true. That is true. Yes.
Derek is.
Yeah, you can't skip me.
Yeah.
We have two brand new samples in the Aces gallery. One from our friend Paolo, who is going to be demoing that design card sample today, and one from myself, which is a help desk sample that shows how to use image upload capabilities to save to a document library, as well as geolocation capabilities. So you can check out both of those in the Aces repo. And if you have any cool new Aces that you've done, please submit them. Back to you.
Wonderful. Well, the floor is yours.
I take over here. Okay. Today, I wanted to tell you about an SPFx extension who will be responsible for some search-driven navigation, but there's still some rumor on it. It will also render some security controls. Quick intro, that is me, but more important is the demo, and the demo should, as said, show some personalized sites. So this is search-driven, which is responsible for the personalization out of the box. And additionally, I show something about security controls in the context of the current site. So let's start with a huge site here. And as you can see, on the top of it, we have a command bar, which shows us some team sites. On the one hand, available at my tenant, and we have access to some communication sites available in my tenant, and we have access to some upsites, not that much, of course. And finally, also some teams, which are available in my tenants. Yeah. On the right side, I can see that I'm on the one hand, in my current site, have external sharing enabled. And additionally, I render a panel with a pivot where I can see some permission information on the context of the current site. On this side, here rendered, as you can see on the top in the URL, the site sharing demo, I have lots of permissions adjusted to this current site. In the beginning, the 3 out-of-the-box groups, but then also some specific permissions. And here, I also implemented the possibility to remove that specific permissions directly. Next, we have some list permissions. And here I implemented the difference between inheriting permissions from the site level or have unique, so broken inheritance permissions. And I can toggle this now here. You have a unique permission, which I can set back to inheriting, or I can break the inheriting permissions on this list on that way. And last but not least, what I also considered in that case is sharing links. Here takes a bit longer, and I tell you why in a minute. Here you can see all the shared files on this specific site. And there we see for each of the documents, the name. You can have the permission level here, like write or read. You can even grab out the link, the specific link, and you see with whom external. Yeah, this is not my current tenant. Current tenant is M. Möller MVP. This one is M. Möller. This is another tenant, so an external one. And this is all the information I render for you. And it might look like an accident, and I first tried to polish it, but then I came to the idea to leave it in. And this is that one. Looks like this. And here you can clearly see, of course, on one hand, looks like an accident. On this second part, and I show you in the following slides how this works, is that it's simply one part is still working here, and the additional part, because I need to render additional information, this is not a single call to get this, does not work anymore because I already deleted that part. Yeah? And because it's a two, the information that I can see here is a two-level thing that you need to query for. The first thing is that inside the SharePoint site, there's a hidden list where you can get, let me call it, really poor information about the existence of a sharing link. And if you want to have more rich information, then you need to use that poor information and go via Microsoft Graph and get that one. And this is what you can see later in the code in my sample. But at first, this was my demo. What I finally did not or forgot to show, what I can also do, but this is only text search here inside the data. Yeah, so I can also, for instance, search a bit inside the data, which you can see here. Oops, should work. And here. Oops, No, at the moment, doesn't work. Demo card, sorry for this. Ah, there it is. Jumped around. Okay, looks funny here. I've never seen that before. Anyway, okay, that was my little demo part. Let's flip back to the slides. This is more for the recording. So I created an overview, which API was viewing for that. For what? The search part for the sites, I used both as alternative, as you can see on the first two lines here, but I will go to that in detail on the next part. So I think this overview, we must not walk through it. This is more for the recording part later on as an overview on all used APIs. So let's quickly jump into the SharePoint search part. So how do we get all this kind of team sites, communication sites, hub sites, and so on and so forth? Not the teams, by the way. That's different. So the first thing, what we need is, of course, the query text. And here, we group that query text. On the one hand, we tell SharePoint A, we want to have a site. Then we want to have a web template of group, for instance. And that's all. Yeah? And what you also have to take care for when you look on the lower part is that we need a site URL on the bottom line. When you compare this with Microsoft Graph, we have a shorter query. Looks at first. Here we only seek for the web template. But in the request body, we also seek for a whole entity type. And if you never have done search with Microsoft Graph, these entity types go much beyond SharePoint. So entity types can also be message, user, whatever, chat, and so on, but not a team, for instance. So you cannot yet search for Microsoft Teams. Yeah. So the Teams part, what you also have seen in the navigation, is simply to get by join Teams or something other URLs, which you can use to get a bunch of teams to put them in the navigation, especially when you want to put them in a personalized view. The command line, this is the UI control, what you might have seen, or what we have seen, of course, on top. And this is consisting of two things here, which are mainly considered. These are the items. This is what you have seen on the left part. And the far items, yeah, funny name. By the way, this was the thing what you have seen on the right side. So where I put my permission panel, got them rendered, or rather get it accessible. And the rendered items, which I put here to the items part, so to the left part, this is what I do in the method where I evaluate all my sites, so team sites, com sites, and so on and so forth, put many search request controls. So this is in a nutshell how the whole thing on the left side gets rendered. The SharePoint site permissions consist of three parts. Here we first need to get our role assignments. Yeah. This is when you have all permissions. Then you have seen in the demo that I was not allowing to remove standard or associated standard groups. And this is how I can get with this specific API that I get associated owner group, member group, visitors group, to not allow those three things to be manipulated with my controls. And last not least, when I want to manipulate or remove something, I can do it here. Yeah, and pay attention. On the one hand, the request URL looks pretty obvious, but interesting when you delete something here, it's first a post request and then an XHTTP method called delete. Yeah. This is one need to consider. Last not least, external sharing links. First thing I already explained you. The first thing what needs to be done here is to get a hidden list called sharing links. If this exists in a second call, so if the response is okay, then in the second call, get the items. And finally, if I get some items, I will also eval those sharing links in a graph service. This means enrich them with data like what you were missing in this one example, which looks a bit ugly or a bit rubbish with the GUID in it. And last not least, the block how to delete such a sharing link is done once again with the graph call. Here I directly come over the site ID through the drive through a item document ID, and then the sharing ID. This is all that I got from the list above, and then I can kick that permission off. That's all from my side. Some resources, as always. Yeah, I wrote a blog series on how to achieve this, and the whole sample also already available since a while in the SPFx and in the SPFx extensions sample from the PNP repository. That's it. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Markus. It was a very detailed demo with lots of resources, so I encourage everyone to go take a look. Now let's pass it to Chris Kent to talk about extending your team's manifest for Copilot, SPFx, Power Apps, and more.
All right, let me just figure out how to share my screen, and then we'll go from there. All right, can you see me?
We can.
All right, everybody, I'm Chris, and I'm going to talk about non-list formatting things today. Crazy. All right, let's go back over to the, there we go. All right, and as we're not talking about list formatting, we're not going to talk about horses. And in fact, we're going to talk about some other people, some mockingbirds, right? So the mockingbirds have a site where they focus largely on being incredibly mean birds. That's just how mockingbirds are. They're just mean birds. And as they're doing this, they thought, you know what we need? We need some of that Copilot action, right? We need one of those PVA type things, right? So let's quickly spin one up, and then we're going to talk about how we can change that a little bit else, right? So we can have ways to bring that into Teams, but we want to do a little more than just bring our Copilot into Teams. We want to bring a few other things in side by side. So let's do that. All right, Mockingbirds, what you got? So if we head over to our Copilot Studio, former PVA, all right, we can hit new Copilot here. All right, I'm just going to call this thing Mockingbird. All right, I'm going to go to advanced options because I don't want lesson topics. No, thank you. But I could change a few other things here. I'm not doing anything with AI. You could. That would be a very fancy demo, of course. You know, I'm sure you've not seen anything on AI recently. So I will say the best part of Copilot Studio was that animation right there. I mean, there's lots of cool stuff in here, but if you guys watch that animation end to end as it builds that bot up, it's pretty awesome. All right, so we've got ourselves a little chat bot here, and we're going to go right through this here. The first thing I want to do is I don't like that greeting. All right, so I'm going to go over to topics right over here, and I'm going to go over to my. I don't have any topics. Well, that's let's just refresh that. We don't have any topics. How you working? All right, let's see. All right, let's go to our topics. There, now we've got topics. Wonderful. All right, go to our system topics, and that's that conversation start topic, and we're going to edit that thing. All right, let's just click on that thing. And I'm just going to change it to be less friendly. All right. So this should say, yo, I'm this bot, right? And then we'll just say, what you want? There we go. Perfect. Very kind. Okay, so we'll save that. And now we can see that, you know, if we refresh this thing, now we get an awful greeting. Very nice. And now we're going to go to our topics one more time. And I'm going to add a topic, probably not the way you should, but for the purpose of this demo, it's going to work great. And that's that I'm going to have this topic respond to everything. So everything that has a message received is just going to go here. All right, so we're gonna hit plus. My plus is over there. Let's send a message, right? And so we're gonna send a message. We're gonna say, "Oh, I'm," and then we're gonna add a username, right? So we'll say user. Let's see, system. There you go. User display name. Oh, I'm Chris Kent, right? And I say, all right, and then we're gonna mock them, right? So let's add a quick little formula here. Let's write this out. It'll be exciting. Let's see if I can find that formula. Oh, there it is. I hand wrote it, so that's exciting. Okay, so we're going to split. All right, so we're going to split the system.lastMessage.text, or whatever we just received. Right, we're going to take that and we're going to split it by nothing because we just want individual characters. And then we're going to put them all back together with concat. That makes sense. All right, well, and the reason we're doing that is because concat, unlike a join, can actually execute a little function here. Right, so in this case, we're going to put a little if statement. We're going to say, random ran between. All right, we're going to say 1 and 2, and we're going to say if it equals 2, then we're going to say upper, right, our character. We're going to randomly upper or lowercase our response here. Right, and we're going to say, and then we're also not going to join with any characters. Boom. Let's see if that works. All right. So now we've got that guy. And let's go ahead and end our topic as well. All right. So let's go to our topic management. We're going to end the current topic. Bye-bye. Oh, one thing I just realized I forgot, very important, is the final quote, to know that we are quoting you and mocking you. All right, perfect. So let's save that. And let's test our beautiful bot here. How are you, bot? Let's see. All right, so we get our nasty little message here, and then we say, I would like to do fancy AI stuff. Can you help me? All right, and we should get ourselves a nice response. I go, oh, I'm Chris Kent, and I say, I would like to do fancy AI stuff. Can you help me? Isn't that nice? All right, so that's our little bot. Perfect. Now, obviously, we could have done a lot more with this bot. You can go crazy with bots. I just needed a bot, right? So now we've got ourselves a bot, and we're going to go over here, and we're going to go to our settings, and go Copilot details. I'm going to change the icon quickly to the, oh, no, yep, right there. Ah! We'll grab that guy. We've got a nice little icon all ready to go. Beautiful. All right, we'll save it. I can do a few other things here. None of that matters. I'm going to publish this thing. All right, so let's go publish this guy. We'll go to the second while it publishes, and it's doing all that stuff, and that's going to make it available in a lot of different ways. And again, we could do this, but deploy it directly to Teams right here from Copilot Studio. I found there's some real weird issues with like the icons and some other stuff. And if you want to manipulate some of that stuff, then there's not really some of the tweaks and knobs and bells and whistles, those are words, inside the Copilot Studio to do that, right? Whereas in our Teams manifest, we can. So let's do that. So we head over to our channels, right? And we go over to our Teams, and we say, yeah, turn on Teams, turn it on. All right, and we'll give it a second while it adds that channel. All right, and there you go. Got our Mockingbirds. That's all great. We could try and we could edit the details if we wanted. You could set the picture and other stuff here. I will tell you, it won't come out great because it's trying to generate PNG images with a transparent icon. Anyway, I don't like it. Don't do it. All right. Then you can change your short description, right? We could say, make you feel bad. All right. And we can change our long description, make you feel real bad. Sounds good. All right. And then we're going to save those changes. And then what we're going to do is we're going to hit availability options. And this is where we actually can download the zip. All right. So we can actually download the whole Teams manifest here. So that's exciting. Wow. So let's open that. Come on now. All right. So now we bring that over here. Now we have ourselves a little manifest. We got the two icons, and that's exciting. We're going to throw away most of this. I'm just going to grab that manifest, and let's head over to my Teams manifest folder, which I have put on the other window conveniently. All right, we'll bring it here, and I'm just going to take this. I've got a little manifest folder where I've already gone ahead and I put in my two icons that I generated myself. All right, and I'm going to grab this manifest. I'm going to bring it in there. And so technically, I could zip this up, and I've got a new manifest with better icons, and wow, 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 wow. That's exciting, right? Or we could come over here and let's open up our manifest right into Visual Studio. Let's take a look at it. All right, let's see what's in there. Woo! All right, so here's some of those things we saw, right? We could adjust some of these things if we wanted, but for what we need, for a bot, it's all good to go, right? So if we took this and we deployed this, we can do that. It'll be a bot. It'll show up. I'm trying to see. I don't have the time for that, so I'm going to skip that because I'm going to go ahead and start adding stuff to it. Then we'll see it with the stuff in there. Very exciting. Okay, so the first thing that's pretty obvious that you could do, at least for a very short period of time here, is to add a website. Right, so the way we do that is we just add a tab, right? We add static tabs, and we're going to add that right after our bots, right? So we're going to add static tabs, and in this case, I'm going to put, an entity ID of whatever I want. I'm just going to call this the site tab. All right, and then I want it to say it's the portal, right? So that's going to be our Mockingbird site. All right, and then I'm going to say a content URL is just going to be that https://site/Mockingbird. So I think so. Yeah, nice try, Copilot. All right, let's see scopes. All right, what are scopes? Oh, I did get that one right. There we go. Scopes personal. Perfect. All right, so now we have the idea of a site, and we can add that. Although Microsoft has just announced this is going away. The idea of being able to add sites as tabs and so on. But, hey, for our demo, that's exciting. We could do that. And so if we were to save that and, again, bundle that up, we could put that in there. Again, for time, I'm going to skip ahead just to SPFx, and then I'll come back and we'll demo all of that. So what if we wanted to add SPFx, right? So SPFx has the ability, right, you can do supported Teams host, and you go to the app catalog, and you can deploy it to Teams, and that's all a fantastic way to do that. And feel free to do all that, but what I'm doing is a little bit different, right? So I want this app only available as part of my app, right? So as part of this larger chat app, I want the SPFx showing up there. I don't want it in SharePoint. I don't want it in the Canvas, any of that stuff, right? So what I've done is I've got a web part, and I'm going to go ahead and grab the stuff for that web part, and we'll explain what is going on here. So let me just grab from a different manifest. All right, and it's just another static tab. All right, so a comma, and then we're going to enter this one. Now here, what's going on here? Let's zoom a little bit. Wow. Okay. So you'll see there's some other stuff in here, and I will show you where you can get this URL to customize. A couple things I've done that are a little bit different, right, is instead of going to the root site, I'm actually going directly to the Mockingbird site. Now that's not needed, and you would only want to do that if you've got access to everyone for that. And that would be appropriate if you've got a site collection app catalog, right? So you've got a site collection app catalog, point to it here, and it'll be only in the site collection that you're pointing to. So that's exciting, right? So you put this little thing here. There's also, if you're going to make this a configurable tab, I don't have any configuration. There's nothing in my property pane, right? So if I had any configuration, I could make this configurable tab instead. Again, there's guidance on the website. I'm going to skip it, and we'll come back here. So I've saved this. Now, one thing when you add this is you still have to add one more little piece here. It's the same every time, so you can actually cut and paste this from the website. But if you don't do this, you get a big error and say, why don't it work? And you cry. And that's this guy right here. And what this does allows those API calls to go through. Okay. And log in and all that. All right. So we saved that. Beautiful. Now, if we head back to that folder, right, to our manifest folder, one thing, people a lot of times will copy that zip the folder and try and zip up the folder. That will mess up. You want to copy just the files directly. In Windows, you can right click and you can say send to zip. All right. We'll just call that our Mockingbird zip. Exciting. Okay. And then we're going to head over here to our Teams. We'll hope the Teams don't crash on me now. All right. And I've got side loading enabled. Right. So let me see. Manage my apps. I'm going to upload an app. And we're going to go to our manifest. There's Mockingbird. All right. And so we see make you feel bad, make you feel real bad, all those things we added. Very exciting. All right, I didn't specify the developer name. We could do that as well. That would be a good idea. We'll add that here. And what that's going to do is going to go ahead and add that bot with our couple of tabs on it, right? So now you can see we've got our chat right here. You want Mockingbird, what you want, right? I'm going to say, why are you in Teams? Right. And of course, we get a message back. So all that's working. Awesome. But then we also have our portal here. Right. So we're bringing in our site right here. So it's side by side along with our app. And then we also have our SPFx app. Right. So this is an app I did not need to make, but I made anyway. And I'm going to show it 1 second, and then we'll be done here because I know I'm out of time here. Let's see. Let's go back here. Let's just grab Seb. Chef Seb's going to become a bird. How about that? Chef Seb. All right, birdalizing Chef Seb. There you go. He's a bird. We improved his ugly face, right? So that's pretty exciting. But the idea is you can have this SPFx app, right? And I wonder if that would work on our together mode. I'm just interested to find out. Let's find out here. There we go. You're all a bunch of birds. Look at that. Birdalized for no reason at all. All right, so that's exciting. But then you can add more things, right? So I'm going to add one more thing, and I won't deploy it just because I know Paolo's got to go here. And that is Power Apps, right? So a lot of times you want to add a Power App. If you want to add a Power App, what you'll do is you actually go and you can download the zip for the Power App. It'll open up a manifest for you. So if you go to share, just show you. Actually, I'm talking and I'm not sharing, and that's very sad. All right, if we go over to our Power App, right? So if we have a Power App, all right, we can go over to our, under here, we can go to our details, right? And instead of playing, we go up to share. We actually have this add to Teams button here. Right, and so then we can actually hit add to Teams, or you can download the app, which will again give you a very nice manifest where you can copy all the information out of that and then add it to your manifest as well. In this case, I'm going to add it very, very quickly just so you can see it, and then we'll move on to Paolo. Don't worry, Paolo. Don't cry. Don't cry. Okay. Where's that manifest? It's around here somewhere. What are those? Manifest. There you are. All right, so in our manifest, we've just added another tab here. And all I've done is I've copied this directly out of that thing it downloaded for me. And you'll see it's got all this extra junk in there. And what it's doing is actually passing all this information to your app, which is really cool. So you could do things like theme responsive. One thing I'll say doesn't add is this one right here. Add this query string, which is skip mobile redirect. This will prevent, when they use it on their phone, being prompted to go download the Power Apps app and use it there, which will be really irritating and a real disconnect experience. But if you add that, they won't have that problem. And it'll work just nicely right inside there. And so then you get everything side by side and all the theming and everything works. And you have a nice app and it's so exciting. And yeah, and of course you can pop it out. You can do everything you need with it, right? So you can see it as a standalone app all by itself. And it's really cool. All right. And that's it for me. Woo!
Thank you, Chris. I keep on being amazed by how talented you are. If only you used your powers for good. All right. Now let's move on to Paolo. Paolo is going to talk about introduction to different card design options for your Viva Connections dashboard.
Thank you, Hugo. And let's start talking about this topic. Yes. So first of all, let me set the context like always. So Microsoft with the SharePoint Framework 1.18 introduced a new way of designing the card views in SharePoint Framework Adaptive Card Extensions, which is called the component-based card view design. This is a much more powerful way of working. You can create more versatile card views. And the design is much more open compared with the previously available options. There are also some pre-configured combination of components in these component-based card views, and you can find an official guidance on the learnmicrosoft.com site at the URL that you can see on this slide. And you can create really nice looking card views in your ACES. However, we realized that despite the design is really nice and cool, having just a document like you see on this slide with a list of screenshots of how you can design your cards is not enough to help developers in the community to build their own solution. So we decided to create a solution, a SharePoint Framework solution, where you can see exactly every single kind of design, how can be created using a real code. So first of all, let me explain you how the card view design works with the new component-based model. And then we will see a few examples taken from a sample that you can find starting from today in the sample gallery in order to learn and reuse code to create your own card views based on this new design model. So the component-based card design is based on a set of predefined elements in the UI of the card view. There is the card bar at the top, where you have the icon and the title of the card. There is the header, where you can have a specific title or content for the card itself. Then you could have the body, and in the body of the card, you might have additional text, or you could have a text box to collect input from the user or other stuff like that. You have a footer. In the footer, you can have command buttons, or you can have a text box with a button to submit some content or stuff like that. And you can also have, optionally, an image on the right side of the card view if you will use the large layout instead of the medium layout for your card views. When you create the card views in SharePoint Framework, you can rely on a set of predefined factory functions, which will allow you to create different flavors of layouts for your card views, depending on what you want to achieve as your own goal. So you can use the basic card view, the image card view, the primary text, the text input with image, and the search card. All these factory functions can be used to easily create a card view with a nice looking UI. And when you do that, you have to provide to those functions a set of input arguments, which can be the different components that we have in the anatomy of a card view. So the card bar, the header, the body, the image, and the footer, depending on the flavor of card view that you want to create. So just to be more clear, what do I mean? Well, when you create, for example, a card view and you provide a card bar will be a JSON object made of a name, which will be card bar, a title, which is the title that you will see in the card view, and eventually an icon if you want to customize the icon, which can be, for example, the URL of a picture that you want to show in the UI as the icon for your card view. If you have a header, the header will be made of a text, and the text will be the bold title that you see in the card view. You can have a body, and the body can be text, for example, in a primary text card view, but can also be an input field. So you can use, instead of a text component, a text input component, and the text input component will have some settings to collect input from the user, including an event to handle the new value provided by the user through the input box in the UI. Or you can have a search box as the body. So again, depending on what you want to do, you can have different setup, different configuration of the body and of the components that make up your card view. So here, for example, you can see a footer with a card button, if you want to have a button, a clickable button from an end user perspective. Or here you can see another footer where you have a text input that you can use to read some input content, text content from the user. So the available options are those listed on this slide. I will not go through all of them. I will just leave you the slide as a reference. But what I want to do is to move to the demo side of the story, where I will actually show you some code and some slides to explain you what you are going to see in the demo. So first of all, let me switch here, and this is the document I was referring to. In this document, we can see a long list of sample card views that you can create using the SharePoint Framework 180 component-based model, but all of these are just images. And that's why in the sample gallery that you can find under adoptionmicrosoft.com, I made available this sample, which is the designing card template sample, where you can see all of those card views actually implemented in real code. And for example, here you see all of them in the workbench of SharePoint Framework running, nicely running, and exactly with the same UI that you used to see in the design guidance document. So how can you do that in practice? Let's say, for example, that you want to create cards like those that you see in the bottom of this slide, the help desk or the Viva topics or the approvals, where those are based on the basic card view layout, and that one is made of a card bar, header, a footer. So you don't have the body, you don't have the image, you just have the card bar, the header, and the footer. And just to give you an idea, let's get, for example, the help desk card view. Let me go here in the sample solution, and there you will find a README file where you can easily play with this stuff. And this is the card view that I created to show you how you can do that in practice. The basic card view factory function is the one I'm going to use. And I simply provide the configuration for the card bar to create the icon and the title. Then I have an header with the text, and I have a footer. And in the footer, I'm collecting some input from the user using a text box. I also have a button to collect the feedback, and in the button I want to show a custom image instead of a text on top of the button, and the action that will be triggered by clicking the button will be to open an external link, but could be something else that you can handle in your own custom code. And then I can have the rendering of that card, which is exactly the one you see right here. Okay, oops, sorry about that. This one, okay? You can see the text box and the button. What else? Quickly, we have the image card view. In the image card view, you can build this kind of UI. You have the card bar, the header, the footer, and the image. So almost like before, but the image will be based on the URL of the image that you want to show. We have the primary text card view, which is a card where you have not only the card bar with the icon and the title, but you will also have the header with the bold title, as well as a primary text in the body of the card. And that's why in this configuration, we also have the body component that we can define. And we can do that also having in the footer just a button or nothing, as you can see here, or maybe an input text because we want to collect some input like in the training card view that you see right here. So again, just to give you an idea of what you can do in real code, let me switch back to Visual Studio Code and let me look for the training sample. So this is the README file again. This is the training card view. And here we can see how I implemented it. And in the card view, we have a primary text card view, again with a card bar, which is always there in all of the card view flavors. We have the header, where I have the title, so basically the safety training survey. Then I have this text, which will go into the body, which will be a body configured to have just a component of type text. And then I have a footer where I have a text box and a button. And in fact, in this footer, I have a text input. I have a text input with a button, which will show this specific image in the button. What else? Text input card view. This specific configuration will have the input text in the body of the card. So we still have the card bar and the header. We still have the footer eventually to show a button or nothing. But in the body, we will have a text input component. So if we search for the fake ChatGPT card view that I have in my sample, and it should be here, exactly this one, we can see that the card view has been created using the text input card view factory function. And again, card bar is always the same story. The header is like as before. In the body, I have the text input component. And in that one, I can also easily configure an icon before or after the text box itself. I can handle the on-change event on the text. And in the footer, I have a button that I will use to trigger an action to collect the feedback from the user, or the input text for the fake ChatGPT for my user. What else? What if you want to have a text input with an image? There is the text input image card view. So you have the card bar, you have the header, you have the bodies like as before, and you have the footer as like as before. But you also have the image so that you can show a nice image on the right side of the card view in order to have a nice looking card to collect input from the user. And again, as like as before, you can have a button or you can have just an empty footer for your card view. One last option that we have in the set of out-of-the-box available card designs is the search card view design, which is the one that allows you to create a search card through which you can provide a search query, click on a button, get a preview of the output of the search results, and eventually open a quick view to show the detailed list of results. In this configuration, we have the card bar, we have the header. In the body and in the footer, we have specific content which is specific for the search card view. What do I mean? Again, and for the last time, let me go back to this sample. This is the search box. And in the card view, we have this factory function, the search card view 1. In this one, we have the card bar and the header like always. But in the body, we have a component of type search box where we define the behavior and the outline of the search box itself, as well as in the footer, we have a component of type search footer, which is specific for a search card. And in this one, we can configure the outline of the preview of the output that we want to show to the user while he's typing, he or she is typing the search query in order to get a preview and then being able to see the actual result. So here you can find some useful link. The first one is the sample I showed you. And these are the learnmicrosoft.com links to dig into this topic and learn how to design your own card views with SPFx. And I think that's all for me. Back to you, Hugo. Thank you.
Thank you, Paolo. All right, folks. We work really hard for these community calls, so please give us feedback about these calls. We want to know if you like the content, what would you'd like to improve. You can go to aka.ms/community/calls/feedback to give us your feedback. Now, you can also join our official Discord server at aka.ms/community/discord, and we try to hang out on the server and respond to your questions. So we hope to see you there. The recording for this call will be available in 24 hours on the Microsoft 365 and Power Platform Community YouTube channel at aka.ms/community/videos. You can follow us on Twitter at Microsoft 365 Dev and at Microsoft M365BNP. Our next Viva Connections and SPFx call is going to be February 8th at 7 a.m. Pacific. And our next Microsoft 365 and Power Platform call will be February 1st at 7 a.m. Pacific. Again, you can get all the calls at aka.ms/community/calls. And with that, thank you, everyone, and have a wonderful day.